Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leader in rushing, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. We got a little bit of breaking news, big update in the Matt LaFleur coaching saga in Green Bay. It's already becoming a little bit of a distraction, but we've got some updates that came out through Adam Schefter and some other folks over at ESPN. There's been a couple of different articles that have been written right now, kind of taking you behind the scenes a little bit. And again, anytime this information comes out, you got to ask, where did it come from? Did it come from the team? Did it come from the coaches? You know, all the way across the board, did it come from that particular coach's camp? We'll kind of dive into the information, and we'll also talk about where Matt LaFleur may rank in terms of other head coaches. As you guys seen, the Chargers get the crap kicked out of them last night. They scored 3 points in a playoff game, and I know that John Harbaugh is a big coach on the coaching hire list for some Packer fans, not all. And we'll dive into a quick little poll question I put up over on X, asking people, who would you rather have as your head coach? I think you'd be surprised at what the outcome is there. So we'll dive into all that. If you would, though, before we do that YouTube stuff for me, hit like, hit subscribe. Click the bell icon if you're so you're notified when we go live in the future. If you're new here, this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your morning. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans just like you, talking Packers on a daily basis, going live multiple times per day, giving you the latest breaking news around the Green Bay Packers, a film breakdown, in-depth analysis. We use analytics. We use the PFF grading system. We use a number of different things to kind of break this thing down and see what's going on around the Green Bay Packers. So if you're looking for that type of content, hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you know when we go live in the future. Here was the original tweet that dropped over on X, and Adam Schefter tweeted out, Packers now are expected to try to work out a deal in the coming days to keep head coach Matt LaFleur in Green Bay, per sources. Now, where did it come from? Adam Schefter. Adam Schefter does not work for the league, although ESPN does have a partnership with the NFL now. I think they purchased NFL Network or a portion of it. We won't dive into that business rabbit hole right now. However, it is worth mentioning that in this situation here, Adam Schefter tweeted out yesterday that John Harbaugh has ties to Bob Harlan. I think it's Bob Harlan's son, if I remember correctly. You guys correct me if I'm wrong, is John Harbaugh's agent. And we know Bob Harlan is royalty in Green Bay, right? So he was trying to draw a comparison there, or a little line of connection, if you will, to this whole situation here. And to me, that seemed a little far-fetched, but you gotta say, where did the information come from? It came from John Harbaugh's agent. So this is John Harbaugh's agent giving this information to Adam Schefter to put out in the public, to put maybe a little bit of pressure or amp it up a little bit, just to get his name attached to the Green Bay Packers somehow, some way, will increase his value significantly, right, in the free agent market, if that makes sense. So again, that happened last night. Now you've got Adam Schefter tweeting out they are now expected to try to work out a deal. Where did this come from? Did this come from the team? Did this come from Matt LaFleur's camp? Kind of feels like it might have come from Matt LaFleur's agent's camp. I don't have any inside information there, but the fact that this did get tweeted out tells me there's something kind of brewing behind the scenes. Now, this went out, I want you to key in on this, 8:43 a.m. Eastern time, right? And then immediately following that, I believe it was immediately following that. I'll check the time here for you guys and gals right now. At 8:47, so 4 minutes later, right? 4 minutes later, Adam Schefter quote tweeted himself with that tweet we just talked about, and said, Matt LaFleur currently has 1 year remaining on his contract. Both sides want clarity moving forward. So what's that tell you? I think the original information came from Matt LaFleur's side of things. And then I think the secondary information, we got a dog in the studio. I apologize if the barking ensues. What's up, Lee? Good morning, buddy. So the fact that this information came out a few minutes ago, and then this gets released with Adam Schefter saying they both want clarity moving forward. To me, it kind of spells, it kind of seems like what's going on here is You have Matt LaFleur's camp reach out and say, yeah, we're looking to work out a deal here in the coming days. To me, it was a signal like if something doesn't get done today, hey, no worries. Something will eventually, like we're going to work on it in the upcoming days. Don't get all alarmed if something doesn't happen today. And now it seems like Adam Schefter might have reached out to the team and both want clarity moving forward. So you're seeing a little bit of jockey in here. I think there's some smoke to this fire. I think they want Matt LaFleur back, but I think that they're probably wanting some kind of stipulations attached, if you will. Like they want some changes within the team. This I agree with. We've been very vocal this year. You know, I put a to-do list together here for the offseason, and I feel like, hey, look, we got to evaluate the general manager too. Is he the guy? And I see the super chats. Thank y'all so much. We'll hit those in a second. Is Brian Gutekunst the guy? Maybe you think he is. Maybe you think he isn't. It seems like it's more split with Goody in the fan base as it is Matt LaFleur. When we've done poll questions with Matt, it was like 85% of the fans said, yes, they want him back. We did another poll question we'll hit here in a minute. I kind of shook it up and threw some multiple coaches in to test the waters of who might be the favorite. But head coach, we're handling that right now. Offensive coordinator. What does Steno do? I hear he works with the offensive line, right? I also hear he's the OC helping build the game plan, but we know Matt LaFleur is the play caller. Is there something going to come into play there? My biggest thing is the offensive line coach. We got to get this offensive line playing better. I feel like that's where this smoke is. So, again, just wanted to kind of set the stage with that. I thought that was interesting that those tweets were so close together back to back. Really, really strange how that came out. And it's almost like Adam Schefter either got cold feet or heard from someone else like, okay, let me throw this tweet out there too to kind of cover my rear end a little bit, right? So that's the latest update there. Now let's talk about the articles that have been written this morning. Sometimes these articles, guys, they're just for clicks. Other times, what will end up happening is there's a little bit of behind-the-scenes information that are buried in the articles, right? So what I did was had AI comb through the multiple articles that were written this morning. Hey, what's the bullet points from all these articles? Let's see if we can find some commonality. I specifically told it, give me the common key points of these articles. I haven't read this yet, okay? So we're going to read it together for the first time, and let's see what they came away with, okay? Negotiations pending. The Green Bay Packers and head coach Matt LaFleur are expected to enter negotiations for a long-term contract extension in the coming days, okay? So to me, it sounds like, and again, this information is coming from within the building, most likely, seeing that, one of the articles that was written was Rob Demovsky's, right? He literally has an office inside Lambeau Field. He has a good working relationship with the front office, maybe not as good as like a Tom Silverstein. I'm waiting to hear what Tom says about this, and maybe he's already tweeted as we went live. But with all that being said, negotiations pending, it sounds like, hey, let's buy ourselves a few days. And that's probably getting into some of the details of what the responsibilities will be for Matt LaFleur and some of the changes he may have to make to the staff. And again, I think this is good news. And you guys know I want Matt back. I feel like Matt's the best man for the job based on the current coaching market, So with all that being said, we got a big distraction in here now. I got a 125-pound German Shepherd that just decided to barge into the studio, and he's going to be chewing on a toy and everything else. So I apologize for that. I'm sure you guys and gals are dog people too, but there you go, Bob. Take you a nap. That grunt, like, dude, when are we going to throw the tennis ball? So I think they're trying to buy themselves a little bit of time, right? That's what it feels like to me. Now, contract status. LaFleur currently has 1 year remaining on his deal through the 2026 season, okay? So he's under contract next year. Team president Ed Policy has expressed a desire to avoid the lame duck situations where a coach or a GM enters the final year of their contract without security. Again, why is that important? If a coach goes into the final year of his deal, what's going to happen is all the coaches on his staff know we're on shaky ground. Let me ask around. Let me get my agent shopping my services around the league, and now is the time to do that. That's why I'm saying this becomes a little bit, what am I trying to say? A little bit of turmoil, I guess you could say, a little bit of turbulence in this whole thing, because now what happens is if this signals to the assistant coaches that, hey, we're not on steady ground here, their agents start shopping their service around the league, and they're maybe looking to make not a lateral move, but maybe a little bit of a promotion somewhere else and see if they can get that out there. Also, the players, do you think the players are going to take the head coach serious if all of a sudden the organization doesn't think he's the guy? How can you buy into a head coach if the organization doesn't think he's the guy? That's the thing that I think a lot of fans don't understand when this stuff happens. Like, especially this time of year, if you make a head coaching change and there's nobody on the market that's going to be a better head coach. I mean, we've shown you John Harbaugh has a significantly worse winning percentage throughout his career. Now, he's won a Super Bowl, but that was 13 years ago. Hell, we might as well bring in Mike McCarthy, right? I mean, that's kind of how you're looking at this stuff. So, and Mike McCarthy, I want to say, had a better winning percentage than John Harbaugh, to be honest with you. Let me just take a quick look here. Maybe he doesn't. He's not a current coach. I know at one time he was fairly high on the list. Looks like he may have dropped. So that's probably not true. Maybe it is. Mike McCarthy. Probably shouldn't do this live on the show. I apologize. Yeah, okay. I'm having a hard time finding it. I think Mike McCarthy has a higher winning percentage than John Harbaugh all time, to be honest with you. So, yeah, it's just very interesting to me that all this is unfolding the way it is right now. Let me get him out of here. I apologize, guys. Give me just 1 second. I'll be right back. Come on, let's go. Distractions. Boy, this is a professional outfit we're running here. So, again, what's the point there? That lame duck situation, some people look at that like it's not a big deal at all. It's a huge deal, guys. A huge deal. Because the players aren't going to take the coaches serious. The other coaches are going to start shopping their services around. You've kind of opened a Pandora's box if this report is true. And again, I know there's a portion of the fan base that doesn't think it's a big deal. I think it's a huge deal. We're in it now, baby. We're in it. Listen, there's a portion of the fan base, a smaller portion of the fan base that got really, really loud. Really loud. I'm trying to be nice here. This is what you wanted. Here we are. Now, hopefully they get a deal done and everything kind of stabilizes. But again, most people in the sports media were, you guys are crazy if you think there's a better option out there than Matt LaFleur. Like, be careful what you wish for. Other fan bases chiming in going, boys, especially Baltimore's fan base, like, y'all have no idea how rocky it got here with John Harbaugh. Y'all wanting him over Matt LaFleur. Multiple people coming out saying Matt LaFleur would have a job like that. And again, be careful. Be careful what you wish for. It's about to get interesting. About to get real interesting out here. So, performance record. Despite the recent playoff losses, the organization values LaFleur's 76-40 with one tie regular season record and his ability to lead the team to the playoffs in 6 of his 7 seasons. Someone said the other night, here's his record without Aaron Rodgers. Okay, that's cool. You know, the only time he didn't make the playoffs, Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback. I think we're getting the pendulum swinging a little too far to the other side, boys and girls. So, all right. So, playoff struggles. Now, this is the big negative, right? Playoff struggles. A point of contention remains his 3-6 postseason record. The Packers have not reached the Super Bowl under his tenure and have suffered several early exits, including the recent collapse against Chicago. Again, the recent collapse against Chicago, was that the offense or the defense's fault? They said the offense got too conservative. The offense came out in the second half and the first 4 drives called 10 pass plays to 4 run plays. If you think that's conservative, we look at the game totally different. Well, no, it's the pass plays he was calling. What specifically? Well, I don't know. I have to go back and watch it. You're talking out your ass, right? So, again, some people were saying promote Jeff Hafley to the head coaching position. Did we see what the defense did after Micah Parsons got hurt? Well, that's without Micah Parsons. I get that, but doesn't a good coach, you're expecting Matt LaFleur to overcome the injuries, but we give Jeff Hafley a pass when Micah Parsons goes down with an injury. So it's just an interesting conversation. It really is, to kind of see everybody's different viewpoints. But the playoff record, what's crazy is I'm almost positive, you guys fact check me on this, John Harbaugh's playoff record since Lamar Jackson took over, the 2-time MVP quarterback in Baltimore, John Harbaugh's playoff record is the same as Matt LaFleur's at 3-6. So the only difference between the two coaches is John Harbaugh won a Super Bowl in 2012, and Matt LaFleur's winning percentage is way better than John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh is barely over 500. It's like 510 or something like that, right? Matt LaFleur's is 26th all time in NFL history at 76-40-1. Financial market. LaFleur is expected to seek a significant raise, currently earning under $10 million annually. Notice they don't have an exact number there. We've heard it reported as $5 million annually with escalators, meaning making the playoffs, so many wins in a season, it gets bumped up. We've heard $5 to $7 million. This is saying under 10 million. So again, that's very vague. Let's say that it's somewhere in the middle at 8 million. Okay, let's value it at 8. His new market value is estimated. Again, notice it says market value. It doesn't say the Packers see him as this valuable or the fan base sees him as this valuable. The market value suggests Matt LaFleur is worth 15 million or more per season, trailing top earners like Andy Reid and Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin, if that field goal in Baltimore, or in Pittsburgh, I think it was, if that field goal goes through the uprights for Baltimore, you're probably talking about Mike Tomlin being the top free agent head coach as opposed to John Harbaugh. That's how close that was, right? So again, his value is at 15 million per, just below Mike Tomlin. Would you rather have Mike Tomlin or Matt LaFleur? Go look at Mike Tomlin's playoff record in the last however many decades. Once again, he won a Super Bowl, but it was years ago, over 10 years ago, if I remember correctly, right? So if you're not willing to pay him 15 million, guess what Matt LaFleur does? This is where we're at in the whole process. And again, we're kind of deciphering this in real time here. What that means is if they go in there and they try to lowball Matt LaFleur says, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Guess what happens? He now becomes a lame duck head coach. He's 1 year left on his deal. There's going to be some feelings toward the organization now, like, you know what? Hey, you didn't want me. Let's play this thing out. You're going to have other coaches shopping their services around the league, right? And I'm sure some people will say that's tampering. You can't do that. That's tampering. Hey, we know it happens. It happens with the players too, right? With the recruiting that goes on behind the scenes. But it's just really, really interesting situation. And also the players, you go into a final year of a deal, those players are not going to take what he says serious. It's just, I mean, how can they? Bub, you couldn't get a contract extension. Your ass is probably going to be gone, and I'm going to be here. Why should I listen to you? Again, careful what you wish for. It's an interesting situation. So yeah. Now, should he get paid as much as Andy Reid? I mean, look at what Andy Reid did this year. It's easy to look at this year and go, yeah, Andy Reid sucked this year. Didn't even make the playoffs. Andy Reid, one of the greats all time, right? Multiple Super Bowls. So no, he shouldn't get paid more than Andy Reid. But the thought that Mike Tomlin or John Harbaugh should get paid more than Matt LaFleur is, I think, outside of the Packers sphere. If I were to put up a poll question and could somehow, some way force other fan bases to vote and no Packer fan bases, I think hands down people would pick Matt LaFleur over a John Harbaugh or even a Mike Tomlin. I know in Pittsburgh they would pick Matt LaFleur over John Harbaugh. And that's something else too. Think about this, and we're getting kind of ahead of ourselves here, right? But what if the Steelers lose tonight and Mike Tomlin is gone and they decide to fire him? There's a slight chance that happens, right? What if that did happen? And now all of a sudden Matt LaFleur is available, right? Wouldn't that be really interesting if Matt LaFleur ends up going to Pittsburgh and coaches Aaron Rodgers? They reunite. That would be really, really wild. There's just a lot of different scenarios that could unfold here for sure. Mutual interest. All right. LaFleur has publicly stated that coaching the Packers, quote, means everything to him and that he views it as the greatest organization in the world. So Matt, yesterday at his presser, he was very, very vocal, very adamant that, hey, I want to be here. This is one of one. I love this place. I love the organization. I love the fans. For the portion of the fan base that's just ran Matt LaFleur's ass through the mud, it's amazing how he comes back and always puts it back on the fans. Anytime he talks about our fan, he talks about him being the greatest fan base in the world, right? He loves Lambeau Field, the history, the tradition of Green Bay. He wants to be here. Now, if they come in and lowball him, that may change a little bit. That might change just a touch. Again, I think he will be back. I think they'll work something out. This is just really interesting report from Adam Schefter that's obviously came from Matt's camp and probably something within the building too, seeing that those tweets were back-to-back like they were. And I see the super chats. We're going to hit them at the end here, guys. Appreciate you guys. Get them in there, and we'll make sure we read every single one of them. All right, potential staff changes. This is where it gets interesting. The report suggests an extension may come with conditions such as potential changes to the coaching staff or a reevaluation of offensive play calling duties. So The report, again, this is from multiple articles, and if multiple articles are reporting this, one of those was Rob Domofsky, and there was another one too from, I can't remember who it was, but I know as it was pulling the information from the internet, it was listing several different publications, right? So this is a compilation of all those reports. Think about it from Matt LaFleur's perspective. You gave me the youngest roster in the league 3 years in a row. I took you to the playoffs those 3 years. We moved on from a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback to a predecessor that you guys handpicked. I didn't handpick him. I'm sure he had say, but that was Brian Gutekunst's decision to, all right, let's get things in motion for our succession plan from Aaron Rodgers to the next quarterback, which ended up being Jordan Love. Matt LaFleur hand molds Jordan Love into the quarterback he is. It finishes top 5 this year. Brian Gutekunst didn't do that, right? Adam Stenavich didn't do that. Matt LaFleur created Jordan Love, a quarterback that I think we would all agree the rest of the league was not that interested in, or else he would have went in the top 10. He would have went in the top 5 if they thought he's a franchise quarterback. So Matt LaFleur does all that. And now all of a sudden, they're telling you, if this is the case, allegedly, according to reports and how things are laying out here, that they're telling you behind the scenes, you're not worth the $15 million. Okay, we got to come. Listen, if they thought he was worth the $15 million, the deal would already be done, right? So there's a little bit of that going on. So they're telling Matt LaFleur, we don't think you necessarily, allegedly, again, this is just we're kind of, spitballing this on site here. You're not worth what your market value suggests at $15 million per. Okay, we don't think you're a good play caller is essentially what this is saying, right? Reevaluation of offensive play calling. And we also we think you need to make different changes to your coaching staff. If that's going on behind the scenes, how do you think Matt LaFleur should respond? Let me ask you guys in the chat. How would you respond? How would you respond if your employer came up to you and said, listen, I know out of the history of our business, whatever the business is, let's say it's a unique market, right? A unique job market or business, let's say, that's just been around for 100 years. Okay, that's a good sample size, but the NFL has been around for 100 years. Within our market, of all the people, hundreds, probably thousands of coaches that have had an opportunity to coach in the National Football League. We could probably pull that number. If Bates is in here, anybody else that wants to do it, do a quick little Google search there or AI search and say how many head coaches have there been in the National Football League in the history of the game. Okay. So imagine your employer comes to you and goes, you're 26th best all time in the history, 100-year history of our business out of this many hundreds or this many thousands of coaches that have come through the league, right? You're 26th all time. You just led us to the one of top, what would it be, 14 teams, 12 teams, however you want to describe that. Let's say 15, you've been top 15 in the league the last 3 years, okay? You've got long-term success, short-term success, and we're going to come in and go, listen, here's the deal, bub. I know you can get $15 million out there on the open market, right? I know you can get that. We don't think you're worth that, right? Also, by the way, the staff that you've put together underneath you that's had this success, we don't think you're good enough at doing that either. Oh, and by the way, the specific thing you do within the organization, the most valuable thing you bring to the table, which is your play calling, finished 5th in the league in passing offense once again this year. We don't think that's good enough as well. What would you do? How would you approach that? So why do I say all that? I feel like we've officially reached a point in the process. Matt LaFleur went out there yesterday and said everything right. Love the organization. This is one of one. Love the fans. Love everything about Green Bay. And now stuff's leaking out that maybe, just maybe, and did you guys notice yesterday there were multiple? Tom Silverstein said he thinks it's time to move on. There was like 3 or 4 different reporters wrote articles saying they think it's time to move on. They think maybe Matt won't be the head coach, or they alluded to this is a real thing. Maybe this shouldn't happen. Maybe he shouldn't get extended. Where did that information come from? Do you think that's a coincidence that all of them wrote the same thing at the same time? So now what you're probably going to get as these negotiations take place, there's a slight chance that Matt LaFleur bucks and goes, you know what, guys? Maybe this isn't the right place for me. It is one of one, but maybe it is time we move on. And if that's the case, blow the whole damn thing up. Here's the other thing too. Maybe the organization, want Matt to make these changes, and their plan is we're going to hire Jeff Hafley as the head coach if you don't meet these demands. Maybe that's the case as well. In that case, imagine this. Imagine that same scenario and situation where you at your company, you at your business, you at your professional craft, you put together your team, and the guy that you handpicked, you vetted a bunch of people for a position underneath you, and you said, this is the guy right here, and you knocked it out of the freaking park with the Jeff Hafley hire. Imagine you did that, and now the organization is going, we think we want to hire the guy that you handpicked. We think we want to give him the job and just run you out of town. There's a little bit of that going on in the background too, I think. Now, maybe the Packers don't view Jeff Hafley that valuable. Maybe they do. I don't know. But that's interesting as well, right? So again, very, very, very unique situation that we're in here. Quarterback support. Now, here's what's crazy, right? You guys can check in Patreon. I posted a video that somebody had recorded from the locker room of what Josh Jacobs made it very, very clear he wants Matt LaFleur back, right? So now you got players speaking out that they want him. Now, in the articles that was written today, quarterback support, quarterback Jordan Love has given LaFleur a strong vote of confidence, stating he definitely thinks Matt LaFleur should remain the head coach. So you've got the starting quarterback who wants Matt LaFleur back. You've got Josh Jacobs, team captain, team leader, team everything, right? He wants Matt LaFleur back. So now you got the players voicing their opinion a little bit. You see the distraction that's been created here? I always want people to be welcome to give their opinion here. And this isn't a shot at any one specific person. But once again, that portion of the fan base that got loud, I wonder what's in the back of your mind. I don't care about any of this. I don't care what Jordan Love thinks. I don't care what Josh Jacobs thinks. Blow the damn thing up. And if they don't want to be here, get rid of them too. Whoo! Boy, oh boy, it's getting interesting. Again, I hope this is kind of blown out of proportion by the people that wrote the articles. And again, this is just a compilation of data or information that came from those articles. But boys and girls, we're in it now. One of two things are going to happen moving forward. Mark my words. Either these two sides are going to sit down in the next 24 to 48 hours and get it worked out, and it's going to look like this was a big nothing burger, and a portion of the fan base will go at the writers and say, y'all blew that up. That was no big deal at all. Okay, that'll happen. Or this is going to drag on for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, and then there it is. Boom, blow it up. I honestly don't see a situation where it's just like, well, no, we couldn't come to an agreement, so I'm just going to coach this year, and then we'll reevaluate at the end of the year. I'm wondering if maybe the Packers are looking at it from a standpoint of, hey, if you don't meet these demands, and they're kind of putting their foot on top of his a little bit, like, listen, bub, we're in control here. And if that happens and he says, nope, not going to do it, maybe they trade Matt LaFleur for a draft pick. That's a scenario that's really, really weird, right? But what would a team be willing to give up to have the sole rights to negotiate with Matt LaFleur, seeing that he had 1 year left, and they obviously gave up a draft pick, a little bit of a commitment that, hey, we want you to be the head coach moving forward here. Maybe that's brewing in the background. I don't know. I know this. It's going to be interesting as we get a little later into this. I see the supers, guys. Thank y'all so much. We're going to hit them here in just a second. Just a couple of key points. I want to go 10 minutes, but this is just a fascinating conversation. It really is. And again, you can find that article that not article, but that compilation of data. You can find that over at patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. That's the type of deep dive stuff we do over there. And joining our Patreon group is the best way to support what we do here at PTA. If you don't want to support, hey, man, I don't want to pay $3 to have access to that information. Completely get it. And this show is free on YouTube, right? It's free on podcasts. We just had people in the past reach out and go, hey, we want to support what you do. We love what you're doing. We got another notification from YouTube that the channel is growing like crazy. Like there was some kind of amount of subs in the last 90 days. We picked up over 700 subs in the last 30 days, but there was something that happened in the last 90 days that YouTube actually recognized us as one of the top growing channels on YouTube. That was really cool. So again, has nothing to do with me or the guys or anything. It's all of you guys supporting what we do. So we greatly appreciate that. Now, put out a poll question of some of the top candidates for this potential head coaching job. Okay. If Matt LaFleur was gone, right? So the way I worded it was I wanted to test the waters. Packer fan, you guys know I've done the poll question. Would you fire Matt LaFleur? It hovers between 75 and 85% saying we want Matt LaFleur back. So I tried to change it up to get it skewed a little bit in a different direction. Like, well, what if I threw a name out there for you? Would you be interested in that? And I tried to find what I thought would be the top candidates just based off of the stuff that I'm reading. I actually did a little AI search, and it came up with this is what Packer fans think would be the best replacement for Matt LaFleur. So here's a poll question. Packer fans, you have to sign one of these coaches to a 3-year contract. Who are you taking? Now, I said 3-year contract because I think most people would say Matt LaFleur for 1 year. Let's see what he does this year. I think most people believe that way. You guys know I don't agree with that. However, here were the options. I said, who you taking? 3-year deal. Matt LaFleur, John Harbaugh, Clint Kubiak, who is an OC, one of the top OCs that's going to start to get a lot of action around his name here this offseason. I promise you that. He's going to get a bunch of job interviews. Or Brian Flores. Let me hit refresh real quick just to make sure it is up to date. Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator in Minnesota. So what you've got here is an offensive play caller in Matt LaFleur. You've got a kind of a more well-rounded coach, and I think John Harbaugh was a special teams coach, so that would bring some emphasis into special teams, no doubt about it, right? John Harbaugh, Clint Kubiak, Brian Flores. And I see people are saying John Gruden in there. According to the data search I did, John Gruden was like 8th or 9th on the list in terms of Packer fans mentioning that they wanted him. So I assumed these guys would get the majority of the action. Here's what the poll question results were. Matt LaFleur, 45%, John Harbaugh, 22%, Clint Kubiak, 15%, Brian Flores, 16%. So in this order, Matt LaFleur at 45, John Harbaugh at 22, Brian Flores at 16, Clint Kubiak at 15. So again, when people come at me in the chat and in the comments on social media, like Matt LaFleur is this bum and he needs to be gone, that is not the majority of every poll question we put out there. The majority has gone to Matt LaFleur. They want Matt LaFleur back. When we just said, do you want Matt LaFleur gone or not? It was Matt LaFleur. When you want Matt LaFleur or John Harbaugh, it was Matt LaFleur. You want Matt LaFleur in 3 choices, it was Matt LaFleur. So it's definitely a loud minority of the fan base that wants Matt LaFleur gone, okay? And I think for all the reasons why that Matt LaFleur, that most fans want Matt LaFleur back, is everything I just laid out. I don't think that loud portion of the fan base understands what this means if you blow this thing up. Or worse than that, the worst case scenario is if they just let him, coach this year out. That's when I'm like, oh boy, this is going to get really, really interesting. Yeah, that's very true. Not so cool says John Gruden would cut the whole team and restructure. Bingo. I feel like guys, what's crazy is going into this season as a fan base, we said the Super Bowl window is open. We got Micah Parsons, the foundation's in place. You got your franchise quarterback, you got weapons, you got this, you got that. We're in a 3-year Super Bowl window. You had 16 players go on IR, including some of the most important positions on the team, for God's sake. Zach Tom's been banged up all year, right? Tier 1 position of importance. Your center goes down, Tier 2 position of importance. Whether you think Elton Jenkins is the guy of the future or not, he was definitely our best center. I think we would all agree, right? He's gone. Christian Watson didn't come back until November. Jaden Reed went out in week 2 and didn't come back till way later in the season, right? Your leading receiver the last 2 years. Josh Jacobs was battling an injury for 6 freaking weeks on the back half of the season. On the defensive side of the ball, you lose Tier 1 position of importance, 3-tech Devontae Wyatt. You lose all-world superstar Micah Parsons. All these injuries piled up, and we went from it's a 3-year window to scrap it and let's start over. What the hell are we doing? Am I the only one? I don't mean to laugh, and there's probably people getting mad at me, but am I the only one going, are we taking crazy pills here, peeps? Like what's going on here? What happened? Is that really all it took? Was that flurry of injuries to completely blow everything up and start over? Oh, it's just wild. So let me get to the super chats. I'll keep that poll question up there so you guys can see it. Joe Trev with the super. Thank you so much, buddy. He says, in the words of A-Rod, RELAX, guys, relax. The last 2 times the Packers finished the season with a tie, their following year's record was 12-4 and 13-3. Love that little tie in there, Joe. Did not know that was a real thing. Appreciate the super, buddy. So he's saying relax. We got Tommy Kenter, became a member here on YouTube. Appreciate you so much for the support, buddy. Coach Lynn actually said, it's a slippery slope. It's a guy who has coaching experience, guys. If you think this stuff doesn't matter behind the scenes as to, stability and, I'm sure coach has been on coaching staffs where we don't know if our head coach is going to be back. Does that become a distraction? I wonder. Right. Mike Witt with the super. Thank you so much. We are no longer title town. We are officially playoff town after Saturday night. So if I had to guess, I think Mike wants Matt LaFleur gone. Maybe he don't, but obviously he is not happy with the situation. I appreciate you, Mike. Good to see you. Actually, we got another one here from Mike with a super. Thank you, bud. He says, I just think we have another Marty Schottenheimer on our hands with Matt. Always getting to the playoffs, but consistently coming up short in the playoffs. So he thinks Matt LaFleur is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, I don't want to misquote you here, bub. He's saying Matt's not the guy. Marty Schottenheimer was one of those really, really successful coaches that could never get over the hump, right, and win the Super Bowl. So he's saying that's that dude. That's who Matt LaFleur is. So he's already made the decision. Move on. Got it, Mike. Appreciate you, buddy. Joe Trev with the super. Is Daniel Carlson an option and kicker? I don't know if that's serious or not, Joe. I don't know if that's sarcastic or if you're being real there, but I know this. There's a particular absolutely gorgeous bombshell female that lives in my household that thinks that we should have kept a substitute kicker over McManus. So believe me, I hear it every day. I'm going to get a T-shirt made that just says we should have kept the substitute kicker because I think that would sell and that would make my wife happy. Okay. So appreciate you, Joe Trev. Mike Witt with another super. Thank you. He says, as for Saturday night, why claim Diggs off waivers if you're only going to play him one snap? Kevin Stefanski would be my choice if Matt leaves. Whoa. He never had a quarterback in Cleveland. Just my opinion. Got it. That's interesting, Mike. Thank you for your opinion there, man. I have not heard that in terms of Stefanski. I mean, I've heard his name mentioned and everything because, I mean, he did absolutely nothing in Cleveland. And if I remember correctly, Mike, Kevin Stefanski was one of the offensive assistants in Minnesota before, right? So he kind of came from that coaching tree. And I'd have to do a little more research into his background and everything. But I know he didn't have success in Cleveland. He's acknowledging that there. But he's to his defense, he's saying never had a quarterback. I thought he had Baker Mayfield for a year, and he decided to move on. He and the organization decided to move on from Baker. I could be wrong there. Need to do some checking on that. But I appreciate the opinion there, man. And with the Diggs saying, guys, that's not a Matt LaFleur thing. That's a Jeff Hafley thing. Matt LaFleur didn't tell him, no, you can't play Diggs. That had to be Hafley. Hafley makes the decisions on who plays on defense in his defense, right? He has full say in that. That's well known. So that's a Jeff Hafley thing. And I agree with you, Mike. I was dumbfounded. Like, what the hell are we doing, Haf? Why are we not putting Diggs out there? So, yeah, interesting, though. But thank you so much for the super, man. Appreciate you. So, all right. Now, I need to wrap up quick. I just want to point out a couple of different things here. Jim Harbaugh, right? John's brother, one of the highly touted head coaches in the league. We talked about what he makes. He makes way more than Matt LaFleur does as a head coach. I'm almost positive there. You guys go fact check that. I think he was, I want to say the rumors, and again, we don't have the numbers public. In some cases, they leak completely out, but most of the time it's just an estimation. I want to say he was making like $5 million more than Matt LaFleur is what the estimations were. He just got beat yesterday or last night by the Patriots 16-3. They couldn't find the end zone one time in that game. Matt LaFleur just dropped 27 points in his playoff matchup against the Bears. Unfortunately, the defense gave up 31 points, and to me, that's the story of that game. It is amazing how I think I'm in the extreme minority of fans that are asking the question, like, why are we mad at Matt LaFleur for this collapse when the defense was the one that collapsed in the second half? So spare me the whole respectfully, and I do mean this respectfully, spare me the whole, well, the offense, they put the defense out there on the field too much. To me, I think it had a lot to do with Edgerrin Cooper going down with the injury, right? The defense Cooper was all over the place. When he leaves the game, oh crap, it's like everything unraveled. And again, I'm not saying they should fire Jeff Hafley. I'm simply saying, why are we firing Matt LaFleur and blowing the whole damn thing up? and Jeff Hafley gets a complete pass after giving up 31 points to a guy that a quarterback, I want to say his completion percentage was around 50% in that game. So kind of is what it is there. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out. And again, Jim Harbaugh is 10th all time at 679 winning percentage. Matt LaFleur is just 5-6 spots below him at 654 winning percentage all time. So Matt LaFleur, like I said, toward the top there. I was really trying to find Mike McCarthy. There he is, Mike McCarthy, 39th all time at 608. So the 22% of the people that voted on that poll question that we just had up, right, that said they wanted John Harbaugh. Matt LaFleur led the way in the poll, but John Harbaugh was second on that. They want him. 22% of the people that voted on that poll want him. Mike McCarthy is 608 winning percentage, okay? John Harbaugh is where are you at, sir? I know I seen you the other day. You were pretty far down the list, I thought. Of course, now I can't find it. He was significantly lower on that winning percentage list, I thought. John Harbaugh. No, actually, John Harbaugh is 36th. I apologize. He's 36th. So he's 36th, and then Mike McCarthy, like I said, is a little bit lower than that all time. So with all that being said, like if the whole idea is Super Bowl, we want to win a Super Bowl, John Harbaugh won a Super Bowl, you might as well go get Mike McCarthy. Like, at least Mike McCarthy is kind of a big Packer supporter a bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just going to put it out there. If I had to choose between John Harbaugh and Mike McCarthy, it's close. I think I'm taking Coach Mike. That's how off of John Harbaugh I am, just based off, I mean, you had a 2-time MVP and you had a veteran roster. That's the thing about Matt LaFleur is, Matt LaFleur had a 2-time MVP. Yeah, a 2-time MVP that the organization was ready to move on from before Matt got here and kind of resurrected his career. And on top of that, he had to coach with the youngest roster over and over and over and over and over again, right? We talked about it year in and year out. Now, back then the roster was more veteran. So that's not a fair argument. I apologize for that. Now that I think about it, I don't think they were the youngest roster when Aaron was here his last 2 years. I want to say they were kind of middle of the road, right? And I think that's where we need to get back to. We need to add some veterans on this team. You want to know why we have penalties? You want to know how you crap the bed in the big? Well, why can't we get it done on the biggest stage? What's the one common theme? You got the youngest roster. We expect the youngest players in the league. Youngest means least experience, essentially. You know, in most cases, you got the least experienced team in the league, and we're expecting them to perform on the biggest stage. I mean, it can happen, and I hope it does. That would be awesome. But I think we'd all agree it's highly unlikely, you know? So I don't know if that makes sense or not. But anyway, that's where we're at in the process. Hopefully we got you guys some information and got you up to date on everything that's going on here. Let's see here. One last one. This is an interesting question. My wife's going to kill me. We were supposed to leave 20 minutes ago. Yeah, I'm in trouble. Philip says, I wonder if Matt would bring in a new coordinator on offense. See, I think he may be willing to do that. And that's the thing, too. When you look at these reports and how everything breaks down there, it might be as minute as, hey, Matt, what do you think? They may have went to him and say, hey, what do you think about, bringing in another OC and let's amping it up, right, a little bit there in the OC department. We don't think Steno's the guy, right? Maybe Matt says, sure, we can do that if you think that'll help. Maybe it's as simple as that, too, right? It could be. I don't think Matt's the type of guy that, no, I'm not doing any of that. But I do think you demand all this stuff from a coach who's a proven winner. Be careful, man. Like I said, be careful what you wish for, because it does seem like things have gotten really, really interesting here in Green Bay. We'll be here for every step of the way. I got to run out into town, take care of some stuff. And then if any news breaks when I get back, we will be hitting that stuff. So look for other live streams across the rest of the day. We'll be back as soon as anything else happens. One last one from Rob over at GBP Daily. Good to see you, Rob. Hopefully you're doing well, Bob. Morning crew. I'm on board with bringing Matt back. So, and you notice he didn't go, you guys are stupid for wanting to get rid of Matt LaFleur. I don't think anybody's saying that. I know I'm not saying that either. But when you really kind of dive in and dissect everything, it's like, what the hell are we doing? Maybe we should bring him back, right? Like maybe this does make sense to give him an extension, because it's either that or blow it up. Unless you hire Jeff Hafley from within, you got to do that quick. real quick. He getting job interviews, boys. He's going to go back to the Packers, go, yeah, they offered me this. I think I'm going to take it. And now the Packers would have to make a decision if Jeff Hafley is in consideration for their head coaching job. All right, let's run Matt out of town. If Jeff Hafley's a guy, most of your coaching staff probably stays put until Matt gets a head coaching job somewhere. Just like if Jeff Hafley got a head coaching job somewhere, they're going to poach assistants from within the organization. Either way, you're going to be losing some key pieces, right? So, yeah, good to see you, Rob. And Nick McSwain, thanks, Clayton. Hit the like button. Yeah, if y'all would hit that like button for us. I hate asking, but it helps the channel more than you know. We greatly appreciate that. Appreciate you, Nick. Appreciate you, Doug, Chester, everybody in here. Sorry I can't be more involved with the chat, but again, that's why it goes from a 15-minute episode to a 45-minute episode. My wife draws up the divorce papers. So appreciate everybody. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you here probably in a couple of hours. My name's Clayton. This is PTA. Go Pack Go.
Here we go.
Bye, guys.